to me. I don't have to do that. Go ahead. Prove it. Shut up, Blair. You pompous, self-righteous pain in the neck. If there is a God, then give me a sign. Go ahead, show me.
Remember when NBC took the housekeeper from Different Strokes, gave her a promotion to house mother / school dietitian / surrogate mom, and dropped her into a dorm full of teenage girls? Well, that was the facts of life. Charlotte Ray's Mrs. Garrett dished out cafeteria food and life advice in equal measure, usually while keeping Eastland's resident drama queens from killing each other. Her girls became icons in their own right. Lisa Whelchel as Blair, the glamorous rich kid who never missed a chance to cut someone down with a smile. Kim Fields as Tootie, the chatterbox who always knew everyone else's business. Mindy Cohn as Natalie, who delivered more than her share of the show's best punchlines. And Nancy McKeon as Joe, the tough Bronx transplant who made sarcasm an art form. Together, they powered NBC through 9 seasons of crushes, squabbles, and very special episodes galore. And while it looked wholesome on the surface, there are some behind-the-scenes stories and strange details you probably never knew. Today, we're diving into 15 weird facts about the facts of life, the show that made boarding school look way more fun than it actually was. Now, before we jump in, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps the channel show these videos to more retro TV fans just like you. Now, let's get into it with number 15, the reboot that didn't happen. Reunion rumors had been swirling for years. Fans wanted it, Norman Lear wanted it, hell, even NBC seemed ready to write the check, and if you know anything about network executives and nostalgia cash grabs, that means it was basically a done deal. The 2021 Live in Front of a Studio Audience special reenacted the 3rd season episode Kids Can Be Cruel and crushed the ratings.
I'm gonna have dinner with Carl. Hey.
Listen, if anyone should, I should.
Carl paid for this, and part of the package was a charming, lovable dinner date, and that's me!
Jennifer Aniston played Blair, Gabrielle Union played Tootie, Kathryn Hahn played Joe, and Allison Tolman stepped in as Natalie. And Ann Dowd nailed Mrs. Garrett. The chemistry was there, the nostalgia was real, and Twitter basically turned into one giant watch party as it aired. It looked like a reboot was destined to happen. A writer got hired, contracts started moving, Zoom calls with Norman Lear were happening. Yes, Norman Lear in his 90s on Zoom, trying to resurrect the facts of life. That's how close this was. The girls of Eastland were finally back. And then, betrayal. According to Mindy Cohn, one of the original cast members pulled a power move that would make Blair Warner's most manipulative moment look like amateur hour, cutting a solo spin-off deal in secret. This kind of move doesn't just kill a project. It nukes friendships and makes passive-aggressive subtweets look diplomatic. Mindy didn't name names because she's too classy for that, but the damage was done. Besides, we all figured out that it was Lisa Whelchel when Cohn posted this pic afterwards. Maybe Mindy is pettier than we thought. Anyway, the reboot was dead, friendships were bruised, and lawyers probably got involved. And us fans were stuck watching reruns instead of getting closure. In the end, the only thing that got rebooted was our disappointment. Number 14, Charlotte Ray exited like a legend. If you grew up in the 80s, Edna Garrett wasn't just a TV house mother. She was the adult who actually had her act together. She listened, she gave advice, and she never told you to walk it off. Charlotte Ray took Ms. Garrett from Different Strokes to the facts of life and turned her into the glue holding Eastland together. She dished out life lessons, tough love, and cookies, in that order, by the way.
Hey, how'd your physical go?
Well, the doctor says it's safe for me to renew my magazine subscriptions for another year.
Yay!
For 7 seasons, she was the moral compass of a show that was part sitcom, part emotional boot camp. But by 1986, Ray was ready to hang up the apron. The girls were grown, she was in her 60s, and she'd done everything she could with the character, short of opening a chain of Mrs. Garrett's crises and casseroles. So she did something rare in TV. She asked to leave, and the writers actually gave her a real ending. She reconnected with an old flame named Bruce.
Oh, this is Dr. Bruce Gaines. I'd like you to meet Blair. Joe?
Then she got married, joined the Peace Corps, and jetted off to Africa, and honestly, that's icon behavior. To fill the Mrs. Garrett-shaped hole, the show brought in Cloris Leachman as her sister Beverly Ann. And if you're going to replace a sitcom legend, you might as well go with an Oscar winner. The Facts of Life ran for 2 more seasons and wrapped in 1988. Meanwhile, Ray kept working, guest roles on ER, Pretty Little Liars, voiceover gigs, and stage work. She even beat cancer, wrote a memoir, and stayed connected with fans right up until her passing in 2018 at the age of 92. Charlotte Rae didn't just leave a show. She left on her terms with grace, humor, and a passport stamp. That's how you exit like a legend. Number 13, Blair Warner said, "Not tonight, NBC." By the mid-80s, sitcoms were getting edgier. Even Different Strokes, the show that introduced Mrs. Garrett and spun off into The Facts of Life, was serving up heavy-duty, very special episodes about abuse. And that edginess eventually made its way to Eastland. Writers had a plan. Blair Warner would be the first of the girls to cross that big V threshold. For a show that usually centered on bad dates, diet drama, and gossip, this was DEFCON 1. Because apparently Mrs. Garrett's counseling services now came with pamphlets on teen sex, and NBC was willing to dip a toe in. But there was one problem. Lisa Whelchel wasn't having it. A devout Christian, she told producers she wasn't going to play that storyline and asked to be written out. No half measures, no Blair learns a lesson workaround, just not happening, write me out. So the writers pivoted faster than Blair pivoting away from manual labor.
Oh, Blair, your life isn't messed up. It's just begun.
Sure, and all I have to do is watch my mother to see how I'm gonna end up. With affairs and...
Season 9's The First Time became the show's most controversial episode, but it starred Natalie, not Blair. The virginity storyline happened off-screen, and Blair, she didn't even show up. This is the only episode in the entire series where Lisa Whelchel is absent, with Blair conveniently out of town, which is translation speak for, if Blair's not doing it, she's not even in the building to gossip about it.
Well, I can see I'm not going to get any peace until I tell you. You have to promise not to tell anyone.
Sure.
Okay.
Her absence spoke volumes. This was a boundary Whelchel wouldn't cross, and the show worked around her instead of forcing the issue. Sometimes the most powerful thing an actor can do is simply say no and mean it. Number 12, Jerri Jewell made sitcom history. In 1980, Blair Warner got a surprise at Eastland. Her cousin Jerri was coming to visit, and Blair, usually all about showing off, wasn't exactly thrilled. She was embarrassed because Jerri had cerebral palsy. That storyline may have been awkward for Blair, but for TV history, it was huge.
Hi, Blair.
Did you have a good... How was your... Can I get you one?
And I thought I talked funny.
At the time, actors with disabilities were virtually invisible on primetime television, relegated to very special episodes or inspirational guest spots if they appeared at all. Jerri Jewell changed that. She became the first actor with a visible disability to land a recurring role on a primetime sitcom. Jewell didn't get there the traditional way. Norman Lear spotted her at the Media Access Awards and thought her stand-up comedy belonged on a bigger stage. Soon after, she was cast as Cousin Jerri in the oh-so-subtly titled Season 2 episode Cousin Jerri.
May I help you?
I'm looking for Blair Warner.
You must be her cousin Jerri.
Yeah.
Over the next few years, she appeared in 12 episodes, roasting Blair with perfect timing and proving her disability wasn't the punchline. Her personality was. By 1984, her contract ended and wasn't renewed. Hollywood's polite way of saying, "We're done here." The timing couldn't have been worse. Shortly thereafter, her manager was arrested for embezzlement and securities fraud, leaving Jewell not only out of work, but also broke and without representation at the worst possible time. A few months later, the show dangled a one-episode return in season 5, but her new manager turned it down, calling it an insult. Jewell later admitted she would have taken it, but the opportunity vanished. The years that followed weren't easy. Jewell struggled with an addiction to sleeping pills and had to rebuild her life from scratch. But she didn't disappear. In 1985, she spoke at the White House about disability and prejudice.
A philosophy that I've come to understand over the years, that love and fear cannot exist at the same time.
A moment that launched her second act as a motivational speaker and consultant to Fortune 500 companies on disability inclusion. In 2004, She landed a recurring role on HBO's Deadwood as Jewell, a character she co-created with showrunner David Milch, who actually asked for her input on how to authentically portray someone with cerebral palsy in the 1880s. She reprised the role in the 2019 film. In 2011, she published her autobiography, I'm Walking as Straight as I Can, which won multiple awards and revealed her frustrations with Hollywood's narrow casting. Jewell didn't just break barriers on the facts of life, she spent decades proving that one sitcom role was never going to define her. Number 11, the cast was under brutal weight pressure. Nostalgia loves to make the 80s look shiny. All neon windbreakers, synth music, and optimism, but behind the scenes at Eastland, the pressure wasn't just metaphorical. The cast was under constant scrutiny about their bodies. Not Hollywood scrutiny in the vague sense, actual, documented, humiliating scrutiny. Cast members have since gone on record about what they endured. Mindy Cohn, who played Natalie, was literally told not to lose weight. Her character was supposed to be the chubby one, because apparently every sitcom ensemble needed a designated overweight friend for contrast, and heaven forbid she actually lose weight and ruin the visual dynamic.
I don't have to do that anymore. Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa.
Even when Cohn dropped a few pounds during hiatus, naturally like people do, producers asked her to put the weight back on because it didn't fit the character. Lisa Whelchel, on the other hand, was pressured to slim down. She's admitted she was sent to fat farms more than once. Yes, actual weight loss camps with that actual offensive name. She endured daily weigh-ins like she was a boxer preparing for a match and sat through endless nutritionist and therapy sessions arranged by producers who thought her weight was a production problem to solve.
Every bone in my body hurts. My arms, my legs, my back, my nose.
Kim Fields has been more private about her experience, but given the environment, it's hard to imagine she escaped unscathed. Nancy McKeon later confirmed what should have been obvious. All the girls felt the pressure no matter their size. And if the behind-the-scenes torment wasn't enough, Joan Rivers dubbed the show the fats of life in her stand-up routine. A cruel joke that stuck in the cultural memory and probably made every single cast member cringe when they heard it. Thanks, Joan. Real helpful. What looked like wholesome fun came with daily weigh-ins, fat farms, and a side of national humiliation. The message to young viewers? Love yourself. The message to the cast? Just don't do it like that. Number 10, Mindy Cohn sang backup for Michael Jackson. Now, if you've ever listened to Michael Jackson's Thriller album, and if you haven't, please explain how you avoided every roller rink, school dance, MTV Countdown show, and wedding reception between 1982 and 1989. Sorry, I got worked up there for a minute. As I was saying, if you've ever listened to Michael Jackson's Thriller album, you've also heard Mindy Cohn. Yeah, according to Cohn, in 1982, Quincy Jones invited her and Janet Jackson into the studio to record background vocals for PYT Pretty Young Thing. Tucked inside Thriller is Cohn's uncredited cameo. She's talked about it in interviews, saying Quincy just threw her in the booth, told her to have fun, and that was that. No paperwork, no credit line, no royalty check showing up decades later. Just a surreal moment in pop history where Natalie from Eastland ended up on the same track as the King of Pop. The kicker? Most fans have no idea. You could listen to PYT 100 times and never realize you're hearing the voice of the girl who delivered one-liners about pizza and Mrs. Garrett's cooking. Turns out, Natalie had range beyond one-liners and sarcastic comebacks. She just needed Quincy Jones to unlock it first. From Eastland to Thriller in one recording session. Not bad for a Tuesday. Number 9, the theme song had pop star DNA. Now, if this version of the theme doesn't sound familiar, it's because it was short-lived, appearing in the first season only.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life.
Now that's the version most of us remember. The one that felt like the musical equivalent of a reassuring hug and a perfectly made sandwich.
Take them both, and there you have the facts of life. The facts of life.
Written by Alan Thicke, yes, Robin Thicke's dad, this theme is so ingrained in pop culture that you could probably sing it in your sleep.
Suddenly you're finding out the facts of life are all about you.
The message was clear. Life's complicated, but you'll figure it out, eventually.
It takes a lot to get 'em right when you're learning the facts of life.
If you grew up in the 80s, this theme played in your house at least 400 times. This show changed cast members, hairstyles, and wardrobes, but the theme was solid as ever. Number 8, Mindy Cohn's casting was a happy accident. Some people claw their way into Hollywood, but Mindy Cohn, she basically tripped over it in the school hallway. She was just another student at Westlake School for Girls in LA when Charlotte Rae and the producers showed up to study authentic teenage life for their new show.
We went to that school that this producer's daughter had gone to.
Yep.
What was the name of it?
Westlake?
Westlake, yeah.
Because apparently writers in 1979 couldn't just, talk to their own kids. The school needed a guide for the campus tour, and Mindy got the gig. By the end, Charlotte Rae was basically her hype woman, laughing at her jokes, loving her timing, and flat out insisting that this girl needs to be on the show. The producers listened, and boom, Natalie Green was created from scratch.
To be awarded to a student of Norwegian ancestry whose father is a member of the Plumbers Union.
And yes, the name came with a sentimental backstory. Rae asked that Natalie be named after her own childhood best friend. So not only did Mindy get written into the series, she got a character named straight out of Charlotte Rae's memory bank. How cool is that? But here's the kicker. While most TV kids had on-set tutors, Mindy's mom told the studio no. She's staying in regular school. That meant filming after classes and then grinding through 4 hours of homework a night.
Lightning has nothing to do with a man coming at you from the bushes.
Of course not, Natalie. But fear is fear. It has to be overcome.
Mindy later joked it made her feel like a 40-year-old in a 17-year-old's body. Not exactly the Hollywood dream, unless your dream is cramming algebra at 11 p.m. after performing in front of a live studio audience. Alright, we're going to take a quick pause here because if you're enjoying this walk through the halls of Eastland, be sure to like and subscribe. We've got weird facts and forgotten stories dropping every single week because someone has to keep the memory of the 80s sitcoms alive. Now, let's get back to the countdown with number 7, Tootie Goes Pop. By 1984, Kim Fields was already a household name as Dorothy Tootie Ramsey on The Facts of Life. And like a lot of teen stars in the 80s, she decided sitcom stardom wasn't enough. She wanted to sing too. Her debut single was He Loves Me Not, but the real story was on the B-side, a cover of Michael Jackson's Dear Michael. This wasn't just a random pick from the Jackson catalog. Kim actually knew Michael through her friendship with Janet Jackson, and her mom, Chip Fields, had even played Janet's mom on Good Times. So, when Kim recorded Dear Michael, it felt less like a marketing gimmick and more like a heartfelt tribute.
Every time your record's on, Michael.
Michael's 1975 original was a fan's love letter to him set to music, released as a B-side to Just a Little Bit of You.
You probably never get this letter, Michael.
Kim's version was a straightforward remake with the pronouns adjusted. Same sentiment, just from her teenage perspective. In other words, it was part tribute, part teenage dream set to vinyl. And while her singing career never eclipsed her acting, Dear Michael climbed to number 50 on the R&B charts, outperforming Michael's original, which never charted at all. The song didn't make her the next Janet Jackson, but it did prove that Kim Fields could do more than gossip her way through Eastland. She could hold her own on the charts too. Number 6, a future teen queen was let go after season 1. Now, before she was America's teen queen in 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club, and Pretty in Pink, Molly Ringwald was just another face in the crowded halls of Eastland. She played Molly Parker, part of the original season 1 ensemble, alongside Blair, Tootie, Natalie, and a grab bag of other girls whose names you probably don't remember. Because if we're being honest, season 1 had way too many characters and no one could keep track of who was who. By season 2, the producers made the classic sitcom move: trim the fat, tighten the focus, and hope the ratings follow.
I can't even pronounce the one they put me with. Joanne Polniazek. I hope she brings along an interpreter to help me with that name. It's Polnicek.
The cast shrank to a core 4 and Molly didn't make the cut. At just 12 years old, Ringwald was told she was too young for the more mature direction the show wanted to take. Translation: they wanted storylines about dating and SAT prep, not a middle schooler asking what a prom was. Enter Joe Polnicek, the tough motorcycle-riding foil that producers specifically wanted to clash with Blair.
She must think we're into nostalgia. She's still wearing flared jeans. In a minute, you're gonna be wearing flared teeth.
Suddenly, the show had a sharper, more dynamic core cast. Ringwald was actually offered the chance to return for occasional guest appearances, the same consolation prize given to the other season 1 casualties. But she and her mother said no. In a 2019 interview, Ringwald called the experience humiliating for a 12-year-old and admitted she didn't want to stick around as a semi-regular after being booted from the main cast.
Yes, I've decided I'm gonna be the Joan Baez of the 80s. Listen. The skies are junky, the legs are chunky, the oceans are gunky. I feel like 11 monkeys.
Her final appearance was in season 2's The New Girl Part 2, and then she was done. While the other cut actors returned for guest spots here and there, Ringwald walked away entirely. Molly Parker vanished without explanation, with no goodbye episode, no heartfelt transfer scene, just poof, gone. Classic 80s sitcom efficiency. For Ringwald, the sting of losing a sitcom role at 12 didn't last long. Within a few years, John Hughes scooped her up for the movies that defined a generation. Getting dropped from The Facts of Life stung at the time, but it did free her up to become the face of teen angst cinema. Eastland's loss was John Hughes' gain. Sometimes the best career move is the one you didn't choose, especially when you're the one who walks away. Number 5. What were those roller skates about? Now, if you ever wondered why Tootie was constantly rolling through Eastland on skates in season 1, showing up to every scene like a tiny gossiping tornado on wheels, well, here's the deal. Kim Fields was only 10 years old when the show started. Let me repeat that. She was 10.
Ah, there you are.
No sales, sister. Don't look for no action here.
Playing a 12-year-old boarding school student alongside actual teenagers. Standing next to the older girls, the height gap was obvious. Painfully obvious. How is this child in high school obvious? So, producers put Fields on roller skates. The extra inches in height helped smooth out group shots and avoid awkward camera angles where she looked like someone else's little sister who wandered onto set. For a whole season, Tootie lived on wheels, whether it made sense or not. Skating into the kitchen, skating through the hallway, skating into serious conversations about life and feelings, just always skating. Because apparently that was totally normal dorm behavior. By season 2, though, the gimmick was dropped. Fields had a growth spurt, and suddenly the skates were no longer necessary. Tootie could walk like a normal human, and nobody ever mentioned the roller skates ever again. Once Fields grew into the role, the wheels came off and Tootie stood tall on her own. Sometimes the weirdest character quirks are just creative solutions to child labor laws and growth charts. Number 4, George Clooney was fired and rehired. Before ER made him a heartthrob and Ocean's 11 made him Hollywood royalty, and before he became the kind of actor who gets paid millions to sell coffee machines, George Clooney was just the handyman on The Facts of Life. He joined in 1985 as George Burnett, fixing pipes, painting walls, and flashing that glorious mullet like it was a legitimate hairstyle choice.
I get mad, I crumple it up, but I can't throw it on the ground because I don't want to be a litter bug, you know what I mean. So, I put it in my pocket, I forget about it. I toss the jeans in the washer, it clogs the filter. Next thing you know, I got a guy from Sears, $75.
But his second season brought drama. Real drama. A new producer accused Clooney of sabotaging the weekly run-through in front of network execs, claiming he deliberately tanked the performance to embarrass the show. Clooney has since denied it, insisting his firing was actually due to a disagreement over a poorly written script. The cast had issues with the material, but according to Clooney, he wasn't leading any revolt, he was just caught in the crossfire. Either way, the fallout got him fired. Done. Off the show. Pack your tool belt, Clooney. You're out. The twist was, Clooney was still under contract, so the show had to bring him back. Nothing says, we fired you but legally can't, like awkwardly rehiring someone and hoping everyone forgets the drama. He returned briefly, but with more cast shakeups ahead and the show limping toward its finale, he soon left for good. Number 3, the show tried and failed to launch 7 spin-offs. Throughout its 9-season run, NBC looked at the facts of life and said, you know what? Let's milk this for everything it's got. Producers spent years throwing spin-off ideas at the wall like they were testing pasta. 7 backdoor pilots, 7 swings at the next big hit, and 7 attempts to capture lightning in a bottle twice. Season 2 gave us Brian and Sylvia. Tootie and Natalie visit Aunt Sylvia and her husband Brian.
I just don't get it.
I can't talk to you when you're yelling.
You think I'm yelling? You want to hear yelling? I'll give you yelling! Who is it?
Played by pre-MacGyver Richard Dean Anderson. You know, back when mullets and interracial relationships were both considered edgy television. The episode aired, tested poorly, and NBC pretended that it never happened. Season 3 tried The Academy, set at a nearby military school, because apparently someone thought, what if the facts of life but with boys and less personality was a compelling pitch. They also tried Joe's cousin about her Bronx family, which sounds like it could have been interesting, but never got past the pilot stage. Season 4 circled back to Stone Academy in The Big Fight. Still nothing. At this point, you'd think they'd give up, but no. NBC had a quota of bad ideas to hit. Graduation teased a college series for Blair and Joe, which didn't happen. By season 9, they threw Natalie into a Soho loft with eccentric roommates and Big Apple Blues, including Richard Grieco.
I said I've decided to stay. They need a roommate. I need a change.
Well, how do you know that they even want you?
Can you pay rent?
Uh-huh.
We want you.
The episode was fine, but nobody was clamoring for Natalie Does Soho as appointment television. Finally, the 2-part series finale had Blair buying Eastland and becoming headmistress with new students. Among them, Mayim Bialik, Seth Green, and Juliette Lewis. Now, that's the one that should have worked, right? Talented young actors, built-in nostalgia, a logical continuation of the premise, but no, NBC passed. Apparently, even nostalgia has limits. 7 swings, 7 misses. Eastland's legacy stayed right where it began. Sometimes lightning doesn't strike twice, or 7 times for that matter. Number 2, Mrs. Garrett, was a mail lady. Long before Charlotte Ray became everyone's favorite house mother at Eastland, and before she was dispensing wisdom with a side of cookies, she was already delivering lessons. Literally. Ray played Molly the mail lady on Sesame Street, teaching kids about letters and words while dropping off the mail.
Want to push?
Sesame Street has been brought to you today.
She even helped introduce the letter M in early episodes. Get it? Molly, M, mail, M. Sesame Street wasn't subtle, but it was effective. Ray later said she loved those early roles. Education plus performance. It's the perfect combination for someone who'd spend the next decade teaching life lessons to sitcom teens. Parents trusted her because they'd already trusted her with teaching their kids the alphabet. Kids loved her because she felt like a TV aunt who actually cared, and by the time The Facts of Life spun off in 1979, Ray already had practice shaping young minds on screen, even if the minds at Eastland were a little older and a lot more dramatic. Number 1, the Drummonds couldn't stay away from Eastland. Yes, The Facts of Life was technically a spin-off of Different Strokes.
I was gonna ask you the same thing.
But the Drummond family didn't just wave goodbye to Mrs. Garrett at the penthouse door. They kept showing up at Eastland like it was a second home, turning the spin-off into a sitcom family reunion. Arnold and Willis dropped by in season 1 with Gary Coleman cracking jokes in a sea of prep school girls like he owned the place.
Ow! You lied to me. We're not brothers anymore. From now on, we're distant cousins.
Oh, come here, Arnold. Now, what's this sudden aversion to girls?
You call my whole life sudden?
Kimberly popped in too, which made sense since she was canonically an Eastland student. But here's the kicker. Despite being an actual Eastland student in the show's canon, she was never made a regular cast member. Why? Well, because Dana Plato was considered too important to Different Strokes to loan out full-time. NBC wanted Facts to stand on its own, not feel like Different Strokes the boarding school years. The irony was, a few seasons later, Kimberly was written out of Different Strokes entirely, but that's a whole other story. Even Mr. Drummond appeared himself at Eastland once or twice. Not because the show needed him, but because NBC wanted to hammer home the family ties between the two shows. In the end, those crossover visits did their job. They tied the shows together just enough for audiences to buy in, and fittingly, the spin-off ended up outlasting the original.
Don't move. I want to forget you just the way you are.
The Drummonds had the penthouse, but the Eastland girls had 9 seasons of staying power. And there you have it. 15 weird facts about the facts of life. Which of these facts surprised you the most? Did we miss your favorite deep cut from Eastland history? Let us know in the comment section below. Seriously, we read them, and sometimes we even respond like actual humans, not the AI that you accuse me of being. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more nostalgic deep dives into the shows that raised us, embarrassed us, and left us singing theme songs decades later. Until next time, remember, this is Remember When.